Hi, today is January 28th, 2025, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 152 for the year, He is Risen. The sun has not yet risen over Brooklyn, but rising up out of the river is a hard and massive phallus known as cock of the Hudson. It is mighty and awesome, and wields incredible power, and people quiver and quake in its wake. All hail, cock of the Hudson, he is risen, and it is time to make your decision. Will you follow in the path of the cock? Will you walk the walk and talk the talk of the cock? Will you follow in his footsteps despite his utter lack of feet, and despite the fact that he does not walk or talk and has no path? Let us bathe in the river from which Cock of the Hudson emerged, and celebrate him with song and burnt offerings, for he is risen. Cock of the Hudson is risen, and may Cock have mercy on our holes. Poem number 153, Iteration. It was about laying a foundation and building on it, and then adjusting and shifting things around, and reframing and deleting and erasing and defacing, and breaking it down and busting it up, and mantling and dismantling and remantling, and adding more and more finishing touches, and then realizing you're nowhere near the finish line, retreating, regrouping, attacking again, and peeling it back and paring it away, stripping it back down to the foundation, seeing the foundation anew and building on it, and then adjusting and shifting and framing, and accepting that the process may repeat itself several times, may repeat endlessly. It may not be a matter of finishing, but rather of committing to showing for each but rather of committing to showing up for each repetition, each iteration, each instance. Poem number 154, Glass. After drinking the water, the empty glass looked really good, and he was still thirsty. He thirsted for the glass that the water had been in, so he liquefied the glass and poured it into another glass and drank it down, and he was still thirsty. He thirsted for the glass that the glass had been in, so he liquefied the glass and poured it into another glass and drank it down. He wondered how many times he could do this, and whether it was safe. He doubted it was safe, but he was so thirsty, and having tasted glass, he was thirsty for glass. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, and you can't pour liquid into a glass that has been liquefied. But you gotta let people make their own mistakes. That's the way it is. Poem number 155, Haiku Are Easy, Part 28. Reiteration. A glass of liquefied glass. Cock of the Hudson. And the last poem of the day, poem number 156, The Frogs and the Birds. Well, I certainly have got to hand it to Aristophanes. He didn't have to write the frogs, but he went ahead and did it anyway. And I'm glad he did, and I'm not the only one. I'm going to go ahead and say that the world is a better place with the frogs in it, not to mention the birds. What kind of nightmare world would we have if Aristophanes hadn't written the birds? No world that I'd want to live in. For one thing, we wouldn't have that classic Odd Couple episode where the password was ridiculous. How empty life would be without that Odd Couple episode. And we've got but one person to thank for that, Aristophanes. And so I tip my hat to you, Ari. Thank you for the frogs, and thank you for the birds. All right, that's it. I appreciate you.